Greetings everyone, this is Kushal here from Purple Trades, and in today's video we are going to talk about option Greeks. Now in the previous video we spoke about Black-Scholes calculator, how it is used to calculate the premium of call and put. We'll go a step ahead today. We'll be talking about the Greek factors involved in extrinsic value. Now remember from the previous videos when I spoke about extrinsic value, I said that extrinsic value is basically made up of delta, gamma, theta, vega, rho and implied volatility. So among those factors, today we are going to talk about all the Greek factors that combines or sums together to form extrinsic value of premium. So without wasting much time, let's get started. Now before I talk about option Greeks, I also want to tell you how option Greeks are derived from Black-Scholes calculator. Now in our previous video we saw how Black-Scholes calculator helps us evaluating or calculating the premium prices. If I have to represent it in a form of a picture, I can say that there is a box, say Black-Scholes calculator, or I can say that this is a formula. From our previous video we have added a spot price, strike price, volatility, risk-free rate of return, time till expiry, and output we got as option premium. Also, apart from option premium, we also get a lot of derivatives using Black-Scholes calculator, and those derivatives are delta, gamma, theta, vega, rho. Now these outputs combined together along with intrinsic value forms option premium. So we are going to talk about all of them step by step. All of these Greeks have their individual formulas and individual graphs also. So we are going to talk about all of this in detail. So I guess this probably would be our longest video in the session of stock markets since the lesson 1. Let's start with delta. What is delta? Delta is the measure of sensitivity of value of an option to its stock price. Now, if you talk about science or economics or maths, delta basically represent change. Similarly, in option Greeks also, delta basically represents the change in option premium versus the change in stock price. To simplify, I can say that delta basically measures the change in option premium for every 1 rupee change in the stock price. And the delta of the call is represented by this formula, e to the power of minus qt into nd1, and delta of put is represented by e to the power of minus qt into nd1 minus 1, where nx, as we know from the previous class also, is normal distribution, and d1 we have spoke about d1 in the previous class also, it's the same, and apart from that c, s, n, k, r, t, sigma, all of this remains same. Now if I want to completely explain you about delta, so delta is basically a strike that tells you for every 1 rupee stock how much the delta has gone up by. So for example, say there is an X stock whose current market price is 100 and we have say 105 call at say 4 rupees. Now let us say the delta of this particular call is 0.3. What does delta represent? This represents that for every 1 rupee the stock would go up by, the 105 call would go up by 0.3 rupees. That means if the stock from 100 goes to 101, 4 would become 4.3. Similarly for 95 put, let us say, which is at also 4 rupees, let us say the delta will be negative because as the stock goes up, put goes down. So delta is say minus 0.3. So if the stock from 100 goes to 101, the put from 4 would become 3.7, or it would go 0.3 rupees down. So delta basically measures for every 1 rupee change how much correspondingly the option premium would go up or down by. So delta of at the money is 0.5. For at the money call it is plus 0.5. For at the money put it is minus 0.5. That means at the money call goes up by 50 paisa for every 1 rupee change in the corresponding stock price. Similarly, delta of OTM is less than plus 0.5 for call and minus 0.5 for put. And delta for ITM is greater than 0.5 for call as well as for put. That means, for example, say there is an X stock whose current market price is 100. Then if I have 100 call, it would have delta of 0.5 because this is at the money. At the money always have 0.5 as delta. Any strike greater than 100, be it 105 call, 110 call, 120 call, as we go out of the money, the delta value would decrease, maybe say 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, so forth and so on. And if we go in the money, say 95 call, 90 call, 80 call, so forth and so on, the delta value would increase 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, so forth and so on. Similarly, if I have to talk about put, if I have 100 put, the value of 100 put delta would be 0.5. However, if I talk about out of the money put, say 95 put, 90 put, 85 put, the delta value would be 0.4, 0.3, 0.2 in negative because these are all out of the money. Similarly, if I talk about in the money put, say 105, 110, 115, 120, the delta value would be 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, all in negative, right? So this represents that for every 1 rupee change, how much the corresponding strike price would go up or down by. Now, one thing which is very, very interesting to note here is the fact that how delta value changes. So this is a slightly tricky topic, so I'll go very slowly, listen very carefully so that you will be able to understand most of it. Consider X stock whose current market price is say 100. I have 100 call whose delta is 0.5 because this is at the money, and I have say 110 call whose delta is say 0.3 because it is OTM. Now, if the stock goes up from 100, if it goes to 110, delta value from 0.3 for OTM would go to 0.5 because now OTM has become ATM. Similarly, the delta value of 0.5 would also go up to close to 0.7 or 0.8 because ATM has now become ITM. So as stock price goes up or down, the delta value of each strike also changes by a certain pace. If for calls, if the stock price goes up, delta goes up. If the stock price goes down, delta also goes down by a certain pace, and that pace or that acceleration is called as gamma. We'll talk about gamma in detail, but let us first talk about the graph of the delta. So this is delta graph. So what I have done is I have taken this delta graph from NSE book. So you can see that delta of call is represented on your left side and delta of the put is represented in negative on your right side. Say current market price of a stock is 17. So 17 becomes your at the money, and you can clearly see that the delta of both call and put is 0.5 and minus 0.5 respectively. Now as the stock price goes up, delta would increase for the call, and from 0.5 it will go up 6, 7, 8, 9 and finally reaches 1. That means for every 1 rupee change in the stock, the corresponding calls also would go up by 1 rupee when it is deep in the money. Similarly, if the stock price goes down, for the call the delta value would go down from 0.4 to the price where it reaches 0. That means after 13 call, the value of each call is 0. Now it doesn't matter if the stock goes further down. Similarly for put, if the stock goes down, delta becomes deep in the money, and that is why we approach minus 1. Similarly, the stock goes up, delta becomes OTM, and we approach 0. So it's a 2-in-1 graph. A single wave represents both call and put, but in exact opposite way. Moving ahead, now talking about gamma. Gamma is basically rate of change of delta. How much delta will go up or down by. For example, if delta is speed, then gamma is its acceleration. So gamma is a measure of rate of change of delta. As I said, from 0.5, if the delta is becoming 0.7, in how much price, by what rate the delta is changing. For example, say X stock whose current market price is 100 had a delta for 100 call at say 0.5. Now if the stock went to 110 and the delta became 0.7, that means for every 10 rupees change in the stock price, delta is changing by 20 paisa or 20 basis point. So 0.2 divided by 10, that is 0.02 is the value of gamma. That means for every 1 rupee that the stock goes up, delta would change its speed by 0.2. That means 0.5 would become 0.52, so forth and so on, till when it reaches 110, delta is finally 0.7. So rate of change of delta is called as gamma. So rate of change of stock premium is called as a delta, and rate of change of delta is called as gamma. And gamma is represented by the formula n-d1 divided by s sigma square root of t, where nx is n-x is normal density, and normal density is given by this complex formula e to the power of x to the power of 2 by 2 divided by 2 square root of pi. You need not memorize all of this, and the graph of gamma would look like this. Now I'll tell you the explanation involved here. So we know that at 17 the delta speed would be 0.5. The same example, current market price is 17, and as the stock price goes up, delta from 0.5 would approach 1. Similarly, if the stock price falls down, delta from 0.5 would try to approach 0 for calls. Now this rate of speed is highest near at the money. Near at the money, the rate of speed is highest. As ATM tries to become ITM or OTM, the rate of speed gradually decreases on both the side. That means from 17, if the stock is moving to 20 or 21, ATM is becoming OTM. That means 0.5 is heading towards 1, but the rate of acceleration is very slow. That means the speed is very slow. Similarly, if the stock is falling down and becoming OTM, the speed is still very slow to go ahead. As we move further, the speed or the acceleration decreases, and as we are very close to the center, the speed or the acceleration is highest. It is as good as, say, train from one station is going to another station. As soon as the journey starts, the speed is less. In between, the speed is very, very high, and as soon as it is arriving at destination, it has to reduce its speed and again become slow. So it is as good as, we are reaching from 0 level to 1 level with the peak in between at the center. That is what gamma says you. The next is theta. Theta basically represents time. Now from our first option basic class till here, all that we know is that as time goes on, premium decreases because of time decay. Now theta measures the change in option price with respect to time till maturity. For example, say if there is an X stock whose current market price is 100 rupees, 100 call value today is say 4 rupees. After 10 days, if the stock price is still 100 call because of premium decay might become 3. So 4 becoming 3, a 1 rupee rate change in 10 days is a measure of theta. That means for every 10 days that passes on, for the first 10 days that has passed on, theta has dropped by 1 rupee. The next 10 days theta might drop by 1.5 rupees, so forth and so on. So for every 1 day change, how much is the option price changing with respect to time till maturity is what is measured by time component called as theta. And theta for call is given by S n dash d1 sigma divided by 2 square root of t minus r k e to the power of minus rt n d2. The formula is quite complex, and as said, you need not memorize it at all. Similarly, the p theta is something like this. The only difference is instead of minus we have a plus sign in between, and instead of d2 we have minus d2 represented in yellow color. The difference is basically represented in yellow color. This formula is for the stocks without dividend. With dividend, the formula is so complicated that it could not fit in this slide, and I have skipped it. Also, one thing that you have to remember is theta value will always be negative, as time simply does not stop. No matter be it for call or for put, time decay goes on, and theta value will always be in negative only for both call and put. Also, time value decreases similarly for call and put. For both call and put we have equal number of days, so theta declines equally for call and put, and the graph looks something like this. In at the money we have highest time decay. At the money would have highest time decay for both call and put. If we go ITM or OTM, the time decay slightly reduces, but at the money would have highest time decay. The next is Vega. Vega measures the change in option price with respect to volatility. That means for every 1 rupee or 1 rupee up or down the stock moves, how frequently the stock moves up or down, depending upon that the rate of change of options is called as Vega. For example, say there is a 100 rupee stock which has a graph like this. It's very stable, and today also the price is 100. For a stable stock, 100 call price might be say 3 rupees. And there is one more stock which is also at 100 rupees in the past 1 month, but it has moved wildly up and wildly down. So both buyers and sellers would be afraid to do option writing in this particular stock because they don't want to risk it. So if anyone who wants to sell options, they would charge a higher premium because they're taking a bigger risk. So option price might be say 6 rupees, considering everything else is same. Lot size, time till expiry, dividend yield, everything being same. Only because of the volatility, price of the option fluctuates so much, because volatility simply means uncertainty. Higher the uncertainty, higher the risk for an option writer, and higher he will charge you. For example, if there is a 10-year-old boy, if you want to take a health insurance for him, it might cost you only 3 or 4,000 a year. But if it is a 70-year-old guy, then buying an insurance is very easy for you, but for an insurance company, selling an insurance is very risky because anything can happen to him. The volatility is way too high there, and that is why premiums are very high for them. Similarly, higher the volatility, higher is the option premium, or I can say volatility simply is uncertainty. And Vega is calculated by this formula: S square root of t n dash 1 d1 e to the power of minus qt. The call and put will have same Vega. Of course, if the stock is moving wildly up or down, neither the bullish trader knows where the stock would go or neither the bearish trader knows where the stock would go. So both of them will have same curiosity, or I can say same risk, and that is why Vega would be same for both bullish trader as well as bearish trader. Higher volatility of course creates uncertainty in both the directions, and hence Vega is same for both call and put, the same thing that I have explained. The graph of Vega is almost similar to graph of Gamma, or I can say is also almost similar to normal distribution graph. Remember normal distribution graph from our previous classes? Now in case you have forgot, I'll explain it to you, and I'll also explain why the graph looks like a normal distribution graph. Now for example, if the stock is at 100 rupees, it can go above or below 100 rupees to maybe 100.10 or 99.9, or maybe say 101.99. It can fluctuate anywhere. And if I have to choose whether the stock will go to 101 or 99 from 100 rupees, 1 month down the line, it is very difficult for me to select whether 101 would come first or 99 would come first. However, if I have a broader range, say the stock for the stock to expect to be in the range of 105 to 95, I will be more comfortable. Similarly, if I have a broader range, say 110 to 90, I would be still more comfortable. And if I have a bigger choice, say 120 to 80, then I would be more comfortable, because I know that in a month there are very high chance for the stock to stay between 120 to 80. Now this is the exact same thing that I have explained in our previous class on normal distribution and standard deviation. So bigger the range, more is the probability of stocks staying in that range, and more comfortable the option writer becomes. So that means if the stock is at 100 rupees and if I have to write a call, if I have to short a call, I would be more comfortable in shorting 120 call than shorting 100 call, because I know shorting 120 call has very less risk compared to 100 call. Similarly, if I have to short a put, I would be more comfortable in shorting 80 put rather than 100 put itself, because I know the probability of stock reaching 80 is much lesser than stock reaching 99 or 95. So the farther I go from the center, more relaxed as an option writer I am, and lesser the volatility or lesser the premium I would charge from the buyer. And the graph also represents the same thing. So the graph looks like this. At the center, volatility is very high, so option writer would obviously charge a high premium because of the volatility, and this almost represents a normal distribution curve, where the farther I go, more comfortable as an option writer I am, and I will charge less premium or less volatility will be there, right? So if you remember from our previous class, one standard deviation gives you 65% cover, two standard deviation 95, and 3 standard deviation 99. If you don't remember, watch out our video, I think lesson number 29, that is normal distribution and standard deviation. Similarly, moving to the last Greek, that is rho. Rho is nothing but risk-free rate of return. Now risk-free rate of return hardly changes in a country. That changes only when there is a budget policy or RBI policy or any announcement as such by RBI, which happens very rarely, like once in 3 months or 6 months, or sometimes once in a year. So the factor rho matters the least when calculating option, because it is usually constant. So rho measures the change in option price with respect to change in risk-free rate of return. That means if everything is constant, and if there's an X stock whose current market price is say 100 rupees, if 100 call today is at 4 rupees, when the risk-free rate of return is say 7%, if tomorrow the risk-free rate of return would become 8%, what would be the value of call? Say if the call price goes to 5, that means for every 1% change in risk-free rate of return, my premium is going up by 1 rupee, right? So this is what the change in rho, this is what rho represents. That means change in option price for every change in the risk-free rate. Now the value of rho is almost same for call and put, except for the minus sign represented by yellow color. Rho values are same for both dividend and non-dividend paying stock, right? So risk-free rate of return applies same to the company, whether a company is giving you dividend or not giving dividend, risk-free rate of return is same for that. Technically, call and put value remains same. Now higher the risk-free return, higher is the probability of stock going up, and higher will be the CE value compared to PE. Now this we have discussed in our previous classes also. The probability of stock going up is 50% plus RF, and probability of stock going down is 50 minus RF. So higher the risk-free rate of return, higher the probability of stock going up, and lower the risk-free rate of return, lower is the probability of stock going up. So as RF goes up, CE value will keep going up compared to PE. So rho graph looks something like this. So this was about option Greeks. To summarize whatever we have seen so far, I can write a summary table. So delta measures the change of option price with respect to stock price. Gamma measures the change in delta with respect to change in stock price. Theta measures the change in option price with respect to time. Vega measures change in option price with respect to change in volatility, and rho measures change in option price with respect to change in risk-free rate of return. Combining all of this gives you extrinsic value, or also called as time value. If you combine it with intrinsic value, that is your final option premium. So that was it for today. In the next lesson in Option Greeks, we are going to talk about volatility in detail. So when I talk about volatility, we talk about what is volatility, what is historical volatility. Now there are two types of volatility. One is historical volatility, and we will read about it by various model. One is ARCH model, the second is ZARCH model, and then we'll talk about implied volatility in detail. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Spread knowledge cause it's free, and if you like our video, do like, subscribe and share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.